Just say when. Hello, and welcome to the Veeam Adventure Fantasy. I am your dungeon master for today. We have 4 adventurers, or I guess 3 adventurers that will be coming with us on this adventure today. Johan Hatenga, known to most people as the immortal of long-term data retention. The war between good and evil cycles on forever and ever, and the need to provide protection against catastrophes, bad actors, natural disasters remains constant. Johan, immortal that you are, say hello.
Hey guys.
Next up, the goddess of modern data protection, Corinne Bissett herself, part data protection god, part human. Her intention is to make the world a better place, fighting against data demons in Microsoft 365. Hello, goddess.
Hi.
And then lastly, Kubi the Conqueror of Kubernetes backup and mobility. He never rests, always on the lookout for Kubernetes backup and recovery, disaster recovery, and application mobility, starred by our own Rick Vanover, the Rickatron. Hey, Rick.
Hey, everyone. Happy to be here.
And lastly, this event would not happen without the druid of hybrid cloud acceleration, our very own Nikki Atkins. Hey, Nikki.
Hey, hey, hey.
All right, so here we go. My name is Jason Buffington. I am the Green Hand. I am your master of ceremonies for today's game. As far as the game goes, we'll start on level 1. Audience members can choose a battle they want. We have 3 levels in our labyrinth that we'll be navigating through. Our adventurers will then challenge each other by either attacking with a feature or casting a spell. The prize will be awarded during the live session of the game for all participating audience members. 1 prize per audience member, and an email address will be required to claim the prize. Stay tuned to the end for some awesome prizes we'll be giving at the end. And by the way, audience members, if you didn't come just for the game, if you came also to learn more about Veeam, please ask your questions along the way. With that, the rules: an audience member will chime in on chat and tell us what level and what enemy that we should be smiting. From there, I'll announce the challenge, and then one of our adventurers will call out the answer and explain it from there. Let's try. Adventurers, you find yourself in the cauldron of legacy backup. By coincidence, we see 4 different kinds of enemies that you likely will have to smite or traverse in order to meet the next level of our labyrinth. Oh, Druid, what say you as far as who should we battle first in our battles?
Yeah, we're kicking it off with Daniel, who's looking to do the backup zombies.
Everybody picks backup zombies first. Oh my gosh. Okay. Backup zombies. Seek out the legacy backup zombies that are making your backup slow and unreliable, and find the modern data protection platform that promises salvation. Adventurers, what say you?
I would like to attack with a feature.
Attack with a feature. Okay, goddess, go for it.
Also, for demographic and kind of inclusive, I am white female, so we're getting that out there.
Okay.
Blue hair.
There you go.
Fun stuff.
So how did you beat this enemy?
So with Veeam's Modern Data Protection platform, this feature allows you to bring everything together, have all of your backups and restores together with also automation and testing.
Well done. Next up.
Next, we've got David and Steven looking for data leeches.
Data leeches. Just ew. Just seriously, ew. All right, adventurers, save us from the data leeches and long recovery point objectives.
I choose to cast a spell.
You choose to cast a spell. Johan, take us through it.
Skin of snake, lizard's lung, bane of newt, dragon's tongue give me continuous data protection.
Well done, continuous data protection. Okay, let's see what we got. Talk us through it.
Veeam backup and replication with continuous data protection eliminates downtime and minimizes loss for your tier 1 VM workloads. So you can instantly fail over to the latest state of ultra low RPO granularity measured in seconds. And did you know we also support Azure VMware solution? So backup and replication for AVS in the cloud.
So we got through CDP. What's next?
Okay, so we've got Brian with cost demons.
Cost demons. All right, adventurers, and for those at home, the challenge is to destroy cost demons that hold you back and rescue your organization from backups that frankly just cost too much.
I would like to cast a spell upon this money conundrum.
Kubi the Conqueror, cast your spell.
Well, how about you click cast a spell? There we go. So
You haven't done your incantation yet.
well, I the cauldron, it's all I've got, Brochito, Anyways, so when it comes to casting spells upon the cost of doing backup, you never want to be in a situation where you're balancing your compliance needs, your retention needs, and your recovery needs with the cost of storing backups. And so if everyone's not familiar with Veeam backup and replication, as well as some of the cloud solutions like Veeam Backup from Microsoft Azure, really built into everything we do is cloud economic intelligence and policy-driven management that can seamlessly move backup data into Azure, Azure Blob, Azure Archive, and then other types of life cycles as well. So I think that it's really important to know that when it comes to your backup storage, you can actually manage it from a policy perspective pretty easy to really dispel this cauldron of cost conundrums and said problems, etc.
The cauldron of cost conundrums.
That's all I got.
That on the fly? That's pretty awesome.
I did. Yeah, we didn't quite do it in practice.
Azure storage capabilities new in their latest release of 11a, right?
Yeah, 11a gets love for Azure. Johan mentioned Azure VMware solution. A lot of the Azure Stack platforms have Veeam options as well. So any way you want to Azure, Veeam can do.
Any way you want to Azure. I've never heard of Azure as a verb before, but I think that's going to catch on.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. So adventurers, we have one more battle to face in the cauldron of legacy backup.
And Tyler has called it for change of legacy backup to complete level 1.
All right, good luck, Tyler. We're going to break the chains of legacy backup and free your IT staff from these ancient and terrible realms of slow backup. Adventurers, what say you? Goddess, you are on mute.
I am on mute. I am no longer on mute. I need a sign. So, sting of a wasp, fur of a dog. With this broth, I shatter chains of legacy backup.
Boom. Well done. Take us through it.
So, babysitting your backups has really become a thing of the past, especially with our extensive platform that covers all of the solutions in your infrastructure. You're able to get notifications if there's any kind of problem. You don't have to sit there and wait for your backups to fail because you know they're working and you know they're being tested.
Well done, adventurer. So you have beat the cauldron of legacy backup. You find a small door in the back of the room, and as you climb through, you now find yourselves in the forgotten realms of hybrid cloud. It looks like we have some more enemies that we have to smite along the journey. Druid, who's going to help us make the call?
Brian's kicking it off with Cavern of Shadows.
Cavern of Shadows. Let's see how we do, Brian. And here we're going to discover the secrets of Restore and convert workloads directly to Azure and shine a light into the Cavern of Shadows. Adventurers?
I choose to cast a spell.
Cast your spell.
A World of Wonders deliver the Veeam Direct Restore to Azure.
That's a succinct spell. Very well done.
So Veeam Direct Restore to Azure allows you to take workloads that you might have backed up on premises or in a hybrid environment and restore them directly to Azure. It makes it easy for you to restore and test your backups and really simplifies that complexity you might have, when it comes to, disaster recovery, on-demand migration, or just testing.
I love the migration aspects. A lot of times we talk about disaster recovery as only when something bad happens, but for those proactive folks that are saying, I'm just trying to move my workloads over, it's not just backup. You can actually just right click, instant restore, and a few clicks away and you're done, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I do say it goes without saying, but if anyone has any type of questions about anything we've covered, definitely pop those into the chat or the questions here and we'll get those answered along with these adventures.
Yeah, I'm surprised no one's actually chimed in on the fact that we're now supporting like the colder storage with an Azure storage. That's a huge one for us. I'm glad we did get to cover instant recovery a little quicker in the line. All right, so while the questions continue to chime in.
Yep, Ayana is looking for data portability.
Aren't we all really in some way looking for data portability? All right, protect your Azure Stack HCI workloads from the data portability assassins.
I would like to cast a spell.
Go, Kubi, go.
My Azure Stack is bigger than yours. Data and everywhere in between. Be safe. It's more of a. It's not so much of a spell. That's more of a wishful hope. But anyways.
As long as it's not a limerick.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
well done. You have defeated the data portability assassins. Talk us through it.
So Azure Stack HCI is kind of a thing nowadays, and the good news is it's a pretty seamless experience from those with experience in Hyper-V. For me, for example, I work a lot with a Hyper-V environment in our lab, and I'm looking forward to upgrading it. Kind of a piece of anecdotal bits is that our lab has been through some real drama, but I can tell you, in the 6 years that this cluster has run, it's never failed me once. So building on that, I'm excited to update my environment to Azure Stack HCI. And, you know, when it comes to any types of spells, traps, and, you know, problems you might be having in your data center, it's good to know you got a rock solid platform and pretty good backup to go with it.
Pretty good backup.
Pretty
good. When we think about HCI, you know, that was a hype word for a long time, but now I think a lot of folks just consider that to be a mainstream approach for getting the agility of private cloud, and yet still being able to leverage a lot of the power that comes from the entire Azure ecosystem. Is that a fair way to talk through that?
Well, I mean, that's it's dispelling the myth of the hype.
Sure.
And it becomes almost, it floats over to like a platform ops conversation where this is a platform where our ops are going to run. And you're really ready for anything on something like this, especially if you also consider some of the containerized platforms that can also happen as well, and the seamless Azure-ness to the public Azure. So it's a good choice, good place to be. And, you know, you can back it up as well when things go wrong, because someone else may cast a spell upon your data center, and then you got to wave your VBK wand to bring it all back.
Amen, amen. All right, let's continue the battles. We're about halfway through, and actually about halfway through on our time for our adventure today. So well done, adventurers. Druid, what next must we smite?
Brian is asking for horrors of data sprawl.
And there are many, many horrors of data sprawl. We need to rescue our fellow travelers from the horrors that is data sprawl. Adventurers, what say you?
I want to attack with a feature.
All right, what feature have you got?
O Spirit of the Light, bring forth Veeam Scale-Out Backup Repository. The Veeam Scale-Out Backup Repository allows you to aggregate your repositories together to a centralized location, with also the ability to offload to object storage and the immutability, so your backups are locked in place. And with our most current version, we're able to even tier those off to save infrastructure's money, get data separation, and continue that portability of data to the cloud.
I love that. And of course, you know, Corinne, you actually showed me several things on how to configure a SOBR, a scale-out backup repository. I was amazed at how simple it was to configure on-premise disk and then more than one tier of cloud storage in a single logical repository where data just transparently moved back and forth. How does policy work in order to make sure those that the right data is in the right spot?
So we have a couple different policies that allow you to not just keep your data towards a centralized repository for like your full backups, but also how you want to tier those off to additional storage types. So you can have it either move that data so it takes that footprint off of your on-prem, or we have a copy option, which allows you to replicate both what's on-prem as well as in the cloud, so that you have additional copies, helping you meet that 3-2-1 rule in your golden backup rules.
Yeah, for those organizations that are really thinking about ransomware protection as well as true disaster recovery, get your data out of the building as quickly as possible and not waiting for a tiering style policy, having that copy job to immediately get a copy of that data onto pristine and often air gapped or otherwise immutable storage becomes a huge part of your disaster recovery remediation strategy. All right, adventures. Druid, we have one thing left. We have refactoring rats. They're terrorizing VMware workloads.
And Kat has called it.
Matt has called it. Okay.
Well, I would like to attack with feature
from the swarm of workload refactoring rats, and then extend those to Azure. I think we've Johan. Are you covering this one?
Yeah, I was a little too excited about this feature, but Veeam backup and replication support for Azure VMware solution, right? And the great thing is it means you can send your backups here and migrate your workloads to Azure if you like, still using VMware vSphere technology, but you can also replicate to it. So whilst this part doesn't support CDP, you still have the ability to run relatively complicated orchestration plans and replicate to AVS. And effectively keep that vSphere bind you have on premises, but use all the cool Azure features with it. So all the other Azure platform bits.
So I love the fact that, and we call this the refactoring problem, right? But I love the fact that for all those folks that have developed agile and well-managed VMware-based implementations, they can do that while still modernizing their overall hybrid approach by leveraging Azure's VMware stack as opposed to running an all self-managed set of platforms on-prem. You still get to use your same skills. You get to use your same policies, but now we're leveraging perhaps an arguably better data center to actually host that on. So super excited for that set of capabilities. But remember, you still got to back it up, right, Johan?
Always.
Always. All right. Well, we have found our way through the forgotten realms of hybrid cloud. And sure enough, we're in the final throes. We're in the emerald cavern of data protection. Druid, it looks like we have 4 more battles that we must face, epic battles that will define the future of data protection.
Yes,
who's going to help us?
Sean wants to smite the data lost beast.
Don't we all want to smite the data loss beast? And this is the beast that's threatening M365. Who might want to help us with this battle?
Oh boy.
I feel like this one has to be me, since
yes.
I am the goddess of this protection category. So we're going to go ahead and cast a spell. I'm going to do double troll and trouble, fire, burn, cauldron, bubbles. Give me Veeam backup for Microsoft 365.
Well done. Talk us through it.
So Veeam backup for Microsoft 365 allows you to protect all of your software as a service offerings from Microsoft that you allow your end users to store critical business data to. And if you're just using the native protection in the cloud, you need to take a hard look at separation and having that sprawl of data over different admin centers. This gives you that centralized location to make sure you are in complete control of your data.
So Ren, you and I have had several live streams and podcasts on this particular topic. I think 2 of the things I thought were most interesting that you've shared with folks in other sessions were around how Office 365 complements, doesn't replace some of the premier SKUs like E3s and E5s compared to base loads, and how also important it is to have separate credentials to really mitigate things like ransomware, where you might have compromised credentials as part of that. Can you walk us through one of those?
So I actually would like to kind of spin it towards what we're doing in version 6. So version 6 that's coming out, we're going to have backup copy that is going to allow you to copy from just not one object storage, but additional object storage and the object storage of your choice to give a stronger data separation within your different Azure clouds.
All right.
Or the other clouds that I can't mention here.
The clouds that want to be Azure.
Object storage and S3 compatible clouds.
There you go. All right. All right. Well done on that. Well done, adventurer. Druid, we have only 3 enemies left in the Cavern of Data Protection. Who will come and help us?
Yeah, we've got Froderick and Eve and Brian all calling for evil elves and Kubernetes.
You know, if you have 3 of them, maybe they are the evil elves and they're just pretending. Let's find out. All right, adventurers, we have to discover the origin of the mysterious Kubernetes backup defenders and stop the evil elves from destroying our data. Who is our Kubernetes conqueror and defender? Who would that be again?
Oh, I'll go for this one.
Go for it,
I'm
Kubi.
gonna attack it with a feature. And the feature I'm gonna hit it with is casting K10 by Veeam.
All right.
And for y'all who don't know, in October of last year, Veeam acquired a cloud native apps backup company called Kasten. And Kasten is the German word for Kubernetes, or for container, by the way. So that'll win you a bet in a bar. But basically, the thought here is Kubernetes is hard enough. Backup doesn't have to be that hard. And Kasten K10 by Veeam is an easy way, guys, even I figured it out, easy way to back up things like AKS clusters. And yes, exactly. It is very easy to do, very simple way to do backups of your cloud native apps. And here's the great thing, guys and ladies. You can use this as a not just backup and recovery of your containerized apps, but it's also like a migration tool. Dare someone else build a Kubernetes app on another cloud, you can back it up and restore it into AKS, so moving it into. So this is legit to and through and something that you should check out. And by the way, like every other Veeam product, there's a free edition, so you can do up to 10 nodes for free for evs. So good stuff.
So super excited about this one, especially as you think about how most modern data protection platforms and disruption occurs. You know, typically what happens is you've got the status quo in IT, and then somebody comes up with this new platform, right? 15 years ago, it was VMware. Now we're seeing on the cusp of microservices and containers and Kubernetes on the fray. And often what happens is first, you've got these dedicated administrators, and they just need to protect their own stuff, right? And Kasten's been doing that and helping DevOps communities for the last several years. Eventually, as the platform becomes mainstream, it's important that you have holistic policies and being able to actually retain that data within your flagship, your core data center backup solution becomes part of that maturation of the journey. And Rick, we have that now with 11A, right? That's one of the new things that was announced.
Yeah, 11A is what I would like to say is Kasten ready, which can be a way to put those backups under management by Veeam in certain situations. And you're going to see that incorporated into Kasten K10 in one of the next cycles here. So yeah, this is also a good example of an acquisition integrating into the Veeam product set. So it's still going to exist as a cloud native app, still going to exist, you know, in the Kasten K10 form as it is now. Same thing with Veeam Backup for Microsoft Azure. You know, we don't want all things conjoining into BNR. We want deploy that way or integrate if you need. So You're going to see this type of flexibility sit in market for apps.
Fantastic. I got to admit, I'm a little distracted because what I thought was a serpent in the background of
it's her cat
is actually just a cattail. But it was so perfect in the graphics, I got a little distracted. All right, and oh, by the way, yeah, we back up containers while we're there. All right, so here we are. So we got 2 things left. Druid, we need a few more helpers. What do we got?
Yep, we've got Robert and Nigel who are looking at data wolves.
Data wolves eyeing IaaS, an enclave of a pack of data wolves. What is the feature or spell that we're going to be casting? Adventurers, what say you?
I choose to cast a spell.
Cast your spell.
Flame of fire, flame of light, give us now Veeam backup for Microsoft Azure. As Rick already mentioned.
Microsoft Azure, break it down.
Yeah. So it's native backup and recovery for Azure, and it makes it possible for you to integrate with Veeam Backup and Replication, which exists on premises as well, giving you that end-to-end sort of continuous protection story. And it's built with cost effectiveness and security and scalability in mind. It also supports SQL. Azure SQL. So it makes it a really easy way to protect some of the workloads you already have in Azure and extend, you know, your Veeam portfolio to Azure.
Makes sense. Johan, I love the fact that, earlier we talked about instant recovery to Azure. So for disaster recovery for migration, and we kind of finished that challenge with the recognition that after you move it to Azure, you still got to back it up. This is the answer for that. So you might use VBR as your way to move it over. But once it's there, we have native protection that uses native snapshotting as well as our tools to still have consistent protection as you modernize your production workloads.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
Well done, adventurer. And Druid, our last one. Who is our last?
Yeah, we've got a ton of people. Froderick, Valerie, Gary, Dan, a whole bunch is wanting this data plague to finish us off.
So we're going to have a massive rally against the data plague threatening SAP HANA. Adventurers, how do we beat this last beast?
We'll attack with feature.
Very good. What is your feature?
Veeam support for SAP HANA. So with customer choosing SAP in Azure, which is a pretty popular offering, there's of course the need to protect it, and SAP is a very business critical application. There's a lot of complexity around how that integration works, and we have a plugin for SAP HANA that supports backup of workloads running in Azure, and that links back up to Veeam Backup and Replication and can be just deployed right there. Well done.
Well done. Yeah, certainly for those organizations who just think about Veeam as we are the VM company, it's actually where our name came from. That'll also win you a beer at a bar. We have certainly grown past that. And when we talk to customers about what's most important, especially enterprise class customers, we often hear about Oracle and SAP HANA being truly those marquee enterprise applications, as well as things like network attached storage. Veeam has native capabilities for each one of those using our flagship product. All right, and with that, Druid, we have smited all 12 of the beasts and challenges across all 3 of the levels of our labyrinth of adventure. How should we finish the adventure today?
So before we quite finish, we do have some questions that came in.
And we do have a few minutes, so let's see if we can get some of these questions answered.
So we have something from Brian. He's talking about just recently updating to 11A this morning, and what should he be the most excited for? There's a lot of features that got released with this. I'm not even sure where to start.
Right. We added support
for tiering and cloud storage. I am so jazzed at reducing the cost model while actually doing better and better data protection. And then I'd throw an extra vote in for what's coming with Orchestrator to enable even more capabilities for more rapid recovery. Those are my bumps.
Right. We added increased platform support, of course, for the new flavors of Windows Server and Windows and Azure Stack HCI. So that's interesting as well. And new vSphere versions for those of you who are using AVS on a specific build, or if you're using VMware on premises as well.
And we have a question from Chris. Can you use Azure as a repository for backup copies? Just going to go ahead and throw that one out there. Yes, you can. You can send anything you can send to a CLI backup repository at this time. You can also send these backups there as well.
I think one of the things I really love about how we use Azure as a repository is that, let's say you have a complete site crisis, especially if you're, say, a commercial or a mid-sized customer where that was your only center of IT. The fact that you can immediately spin up a brand new copy of VBR on the marketplace and then mount to that Azure storage repository and immediately start being able to recover data, that is huge. So survivability of data using that Azure recovery platform is fantastic for that.
Okay, before we log off, I just want to make sure everyone gets their surprise at the end. So Jason, will you go ahead and switch to their surprise?
Here we go. You want to explain it out, Druid?
Yes, of course. Everyone who attended today can have their own special edition Dragon t-shirt now available for you to order. Limited supplies. Make sure you click on that link. I shared it in the chat here. And we want to thank you guys very much for attending, and you guys made it fun.
We had a great time. Thank you for joining us today. If you need any help from us, please continue to reach out.